folks, I want to call the Town Council Budget Workshop of February 11th, 2019 to order with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So before we get into the actual departments on the agenda, I want to just give the council and the folks out in the public an overview of where we're at with this particular budget. So just kind of bear with me a little bit. Brian, feel free to chime in or chime out, whatever you want to do. I had a meeting with Brian last week, and we kind of went over a lot of the high points of this particular budget. So. First off, with this particular budget, our mill rate is going to increase by 83 cents per thousand. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, the thing that really concerns me, as well as I believe the finance department, is we're above the 4% cap by about 2.5%. So what's concerning about that is if the state auditor general says no to the increase, we've got to take out more money out of our savings account or the fund balance. Right now, with this particular budget, please refer to page 3 in the very first section, page 3. See where it says fiscal year 19-20 budget revenues. Down the bottom, see that 446,524? Figure? That's what we used in this particular budget to balance it from our savings account already. Okay? Again, if the state auditor general says no to our increase, we're at $1,108,216 is what our tax levy is, and our allowable increase is $687,278. So we're above that levy by $420,939. If the state auditor general says no to our increase, we have to pull $420,939 in addition to the $446 out of our savings account to balance the budget. That's concerning in and of itself, but what's more concerning is if we have to do that, it'll put our fund balance below the 2 months. Is it 2 months? Yeah, 2 months of operating expenses. So what concerns me about that is in the summer of this year, we're going to have to bond the land trust $2 million debt. So that's going to cost us more in interest rates if our bond rating falls below the necessary levels because of our fund balance is not at an appropriate level. So that's really, really concerning. Okay. So anything we do tonight and throughout the budgetary process, it's going to have a direct impact on the taxpayers, whether we increase, decrease. It's roughly about $8,500 reduction or increase is a penny in the mill rate. So that's kind of where we're at. So we make suggestions, that's what it equates to. The municipal budget, look on page 2, far right-hand side. The municipal budget's up $375,299. And again, the school is up to $605,227. And the state aid to education was reduced by $97,000. So, we've really, I should say the manager and finance really pared this budget down by using what money we had in our savings account to balance it. We scaled back the CIP, which is our long-term projects. We've scaled that back down to $195,000, which we'll get into later, but it's really not, I hate to cast a shadow over this whole process, but that's the reality of it. I'm really concerned about if the Auditor General says no to our increase, and we have to take out an additional $420,000, I'm sorry, it's really going to put us in a bind. So I just want everyone to really be cognizant of that as we progress through not only tonight, throughout the whole process. Brian, if you want to just maybe add it, I know we talked about, what increased on the municipal side. There's a lot of pension increases, salary increases, so we had, an unusually high municipal side of things this year, unlike some years in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had 4 of our 5 union contracts were up for new contracts in 19. So this budget we're looking at now would be the second year of those contracts. For the majority of those contracts, we were able to negotiate 1% increase in year 1, 2% in year 2, and 3% in year 3. So this budget we're looking at, we'd be in the 2% for the police. Well, clerical and PT we're still in negotiations, but the dispatchers, so we're looking at a 2% increase pretty much on the majority of our payroll, which increases pension, which increases payroll taxes. On top of because the pension is a percentage of wages. On top of that, the state, they supply us with our pension rates, what we are obligated to contribute on behalf of our employees. That went up from 2.16 to 3.46. It doesn't sound like a huge increase in percentage, but when you put that against all of payroll, it adds up quite a bit. The police were actually up from 29.47 to 32.18. So that's what the town will have to contribute in this upcoming fiscal year 20. So we saw increases there. Healthcare, it didn't go down. It's up again. It's not a drastic increase, but it's 5% is what we have forecast, and that was on the low side. I was told between 5 and 8%. Bill and I put 5% in this budget, so we went with a low number. Dental was up 3%. So there's a lot of things contractually that were done in negotiations, and things that were out of our control, such as healthcare and dental and pension increases that we really, so when you look at this operating budget and you see these municipal increases, we level funded all the operational expenses line items for the most part, maybe move things out of one account and put them in another, but pretty much level funded. But there are contractual obligations, debt service is up. Debt service is up quite a bit because, as we'll discuss later, we have the land trust bond. We're going to have to go to bond for that $2 million, so that increased debt service. So a lot of contractual stuff that was out of our hands in this current budget.
And Brian, can you explain to the group and folks here, I guess, about the process with the Auditor General? I think you've reached out, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Correct.
I know that I think it was last year, the town of Richmond reached out and they said no. The town of Richmond doesn't have nearly the amount of money we have in our fund balance. So it's really concerning as to them saying no to someone that doesn't have that much money to someone that does. I shouldn't say a lot of money. We have more than they do. So anyway,
right. There's 5 exemptions to the law of exceeding that 4% cap. Right. The one that we would be facing is called the emergency situation. So we would have to apply to the Auditor General and ask for an emergency situation, which, I think, nothing's guaranteed by any means. I'm somewhat optimistic based on the fact that the enrollment shift alone put us over our cap and the decrease in state aid. So between the increase in the school contribution and the decrease in state aid, we're up 702,000. So that exceeds our cap right there. So we can't control how much we get from the state and state aid, and we can't control, our contribution to Chariho. So it's one of those things where we were faced with, $702,000 increase.
And our levy amount is $687.
Right. So we were
already we're under the gun.
Right.
The thing that concerns me is that I don't know how long the law has been in existence about exceeding the budget cap. It just shows you how ridiculous the General Assembly is, because we've had regional school districts since, for well over, approaching 60 years now, between 50 and 60 years. And they passed that law, and they should know, just common sense would tell people, you have a regional school budget, it's going to impact member towns differently. And yet they passed that law, and they never addressed, I think in the past, at least in one occasion, probably multiple occasions, the Auditor General has just told the towns to go out and do it, because, I mean, what would the state's response be when we're in the only 3-town regional school district in the state? You have, the other regional school districts are 2-town districts, one's partial, I guess Boston and Gloucester is only partially regionalized, but the impact on finances is out of whack. I mean, what is the solution?
Our problem, though, is we have no tax base. Many of the towns and areas have tax bases. They have retail, they have malls, they have business, they have commercial. We do not. You cannot continually blame the children and the school board. Yes, it's part of it. Yes, it's an important part, but it's because we do not have a tax base.
Well, I just want to respond to that.
We're not going to get into a fundamental argument about taxation for schools and regional, that's not why we're here tonight. So I just wanted to give an overview so folks knew where we were at in the process, and we're just starting. What concerns us as a town, you know, in terms of the bond rating and what it may cost us to go out to bond for the land trust, $2 million this summer. It's a real issue, and we'll have to see how it all unfolds. So, I guess without any further ado, I guess you all set, Brian? Or?
Yeah, I think, you know, I can, as we go through each department, as we do every year with this workshop, you know, I'll start off and say, you know, this is the highlight of this department, you know, this is the big hitter, you know, and I can kind of address them as we go, as opposed to kind of going through the whole budget.
Yeah, all right, so getting back to the agenda, the first item is the land trust, that's in the CIP, page 6. And oh, you don't have a statement?
Lisa needs it, we'll need it.
Lisa doesn't have a CIP?
The next one?
Yes, I'll make copies.
Okay.
Okay.
You said page 6?
Page 6,
On the CIP.
CIP,
Oh,
the capital
Separate,
improvement.
that's a separate.
that's not the, okay then.
I'll make some copies.
You don't have that?
It's not on the computer, it's just, this one only has road.
No.
CIP is a separate.
Okay.
Has it, you guys don't have it? No one has it?
No.
No.
Bill's gonna make some copies.
All right, stand by. Now, Marilyn, you had sent an email, which obviously was kind of late today. I didn't have a chance to really digest it, so you're gonna have to kind of go through that. You know, she sent it very late today. I made copies, and then she gave us an additional page that replaced one that was sent to us electronically.
This is very helpful, thank you.
First thing I provided was just an overview of some of the properties and projects and things that we've been doing, and it only goes back to 2009. We have been in existence since the year 2000, so we haven't covered them all, but these are things that would have happened since the $2 million bond was approved. That was in 2008.
Does everybody have,
No.
There's extra copies of the CIP up there.
Thank you.
Okay, so page 6 in the CIP is the land trust. The prior council, I guess, I forget what year it was, allowed them to have up to 25% of the town clerk's real estate conveyance revenue, up to 10,000, right? So,
I think earlier,
It was-
it was much higher at the beginning. We did go through that.
The first year was 2015, and it was 15,000. So 25% of the real estate
up to,
transfer tax, up to 15,000. And then the following year, it was reduced to 10,000, and I believe that's been
The
3
same,
years.
yeah. And so that money comes from the conveyance tax out of the clerk's revenue, so, for folks that are not aware of that, so. Now, you had sent us this spreadsheet of sorts, expenses and operating expenses and revenue offsets.
Yes.
You want to kind of go through that, I guess, or
Spent
Huh?
hours and hours and hours.
doing this?
Since we have not had a budget layout like this, we've gone back 3-4 years and gone through all of our checks and all of our statements to establish, a spending record. Going back even farther than that, I looked at old statements and I took the 9-year span of the fund that was established that started the land trust, which eventually reached over $500,000 because of being allocated 100% for 3 years and 50% of the real estate transfer tax. It reached that much. I looked back over all those years and averaged out, and it came out right in the same range of what we've been spending the last 3 or 4 years, which is somewhere around $35,000 to $45,000 a year. And that is not on land purchases, but all of the other stuff, operational stuff. And those are the things that you see now on this budget that we built.
So what are you proposing?
So if you want to really cut to the chase,
Yeah, that's what
I
I
can
prefer.
do that. So you can see we have 2 years of all expenditures, 2018-19, half of the year, we're up to 19,000 for this year. So if we spent as much in the next 6 months, it would be 38,000. What we've proposed for 2019, 2020 comes to 29,889. And then the lower part of the page shows revenue and offsets. For revenue for the land trust, we have hay leases, and we have, for agricultural leases, and we have a fund that was established at the Rhode Island Foundation. It's a, what do you call it? Stewardship. It's a stewardship fund, that pays us out a certain amount each year. That's it. The other thing I called offsets, because those are trail grants where we get awarded $3,000, we pay it, and then we get reimbursed that amount. So there are 2 trail grants that show, one in 16-17, one in 17-18. Those trail grants have been discontinued, I believe. I'm told there are no more funding rounds, whether they'll come back eventually, I don't know. And then in the proposed budget, I show $14,449, which is reimbursement for expenses so far on the project, which is the big recreation grant, similar to the one that the planning department got for Langworthy Field. Ours is for the Depot Square. So we've spent some so far for that, and until we can get the reimbursement for that, which is $14,449. So with proposed expenses of $28,889 and $14,449, and we can expect for $14,899, we can expect to have come in. We're requesting $15,000 this year.
In addition to the 10?
No,
Oh,
No, 5,000 more. From
5,000 more.
From 10 to 15,000.
processes, the 4 workshops. You know, what's really important, at least to me, and I'm sure there's other council folks that share this thought, maybe not, but the school budget process didn't turn out so well. You know, they were not that flexible with my recommendations, Sharon's recommendations, Barbara's recommendations. I called into question some of the large variances in that budget, and I was just looked at like, you know, why are you even talking about this? It was scary. For instance, they had 4 large budget items, which was compensation, healthcare, transportation, and there was one other small one. They had they underspent in those 4 categories last year, $1,881,000. They added $1,003,000 to those 4 items going forward. So it's like a $3.2 million swing. I just wanted some accountability to that, you know, as to why, and, you know, is there any flexibility? Nothing. The superintendent never got back to me. So from my perspective, if no other further cuts are given to the district, including what we may share in, I would like to have everyone, you know, if they can, you do what you want, but I'm not going to vote for that budget. I'm going to turn it down. If enough people turn it down, they're going to go back and have another bite at the apple, and they've got to reduce it. So that's, I hate to put it bluntly, but that's really what has to happen, because they've just been so inflexible with this process that it really disturbs me. Anyway, that's, I don't want to go off on a school thing, but it really is impactful for us. As you heard from Brian, right out of the gate, we're over the 4% because of state aid to education and the enrollment shift. Now, we had 21 extra kids in our town to Charahoe. That we could probably absorb that, but Charlestown went down 61. And you know, anyone that lives in Charlestown, everyone seems to be going there instead of leaving. I just find it hard to believe. But anyway, that baffled me. But it is what it is. But so anyway, I'm sorry to take the floor so early, but it just anyway, Barbara.
It's frustrating, to say the least. It's just frustrating, I think, to say the least. I'm certainly open to 15,000 because I think you use it, and I think it's necessary. I do understand that we can't put it in, and we'll probably look at it later on in the process, because it is an extremely tight budget, and it's already over without even trying to be super tight. I did have one thing to say there. I took a look at your the list you sent on what you spent and how you spent it. I guess one of the things I would like to see is more spent on property and less on operating, and I don't know if there's any way you can do that, because the operating is
Wow.
2.5 times more than what you spend on the property. So, you know, that's, when I take a look at it, that's what I'd like to see, is more spent on property and less spent on operating expenses. So that we can actually create some of the things that you certainly need to do. So that was my, when I was taking a look at that, that was one of my takes, is I'd really like to see more spent on property and less on operating. And the revenue and offsets, my assumption is the grant, the 14,449 is Depot Square.
Yeah.
So you don't have in here with revenue, the 10,000 from the town. It's not under your revenue and offsets, because you would get the 10,000 from the
It's
town.
included in the.
That's 14,449 is all Depot
That's right.
Square. So that's all Depot Square, that's not from us. Right, so,
It's great.
yeah, it's a grant.
Talk about the income, the revenue.
Under revenue,
Right,
right.
but the,
Where's the 10,000 from the
we're
town?
just looking for
That's
the
part of the
difference
14.
between the expenditures and the revenue offsets.
I don't
That's
understand.
what we're looking for from the new budget. I don't
That's
know,
the new-
I'm
no,
not
that's the new
educated in
budget.
developing budgets, so I did the best I could.
I think you did a great job.
We understand what you're saying.
I know you're developing for the new budget, so it's the, under revenue and offset in the prior years, there should be the 10,000 from the town.
So it would all sort of
So we know
balance
that
out.
you're looking for
So
5
we'd
instead
still
of
be
15.
looking for the same,
Exactly, exactly. You're still looking for
sort of doesn't
15.
show here.
But it doesn't show, I'm just saying, where's the town under revenue, because you should be getting 10K from us on revenue. And I know you just put it together, it's fine, but we need to show that there's 10,000 from the town.
Which is just stewardship money though, too. I mean,
Right, so,
I don't know. I'd be interested in just saying a couple of words about the fact that, you know, in almost 20 years of being on the land trust since the beginning, we did have that initial support from the town, which is great. And it grew with the 100% transfer tax that we had for a while. But I mean, to say that we have been frugal is like such an understatement.
yeah.
Okay, we had no operating expenses at all for the first 15 years practically, other than, you know, copy paper and maybe going to one land trust, you know, alliance event a year, you know, which cost us each maybe $40 or something. And every dollar that we have spent on land, which also helps our school budget, because every piece of land that we protect has less houses being built on it and children going to school, just by the way. Every dollar that we have spent on that, we've partnered with other organizations and stretched those bonds just to the absolute nth degree. And, you know, when we did come to the point where we absolutely had to get some administrative help, because we're 7 people that are volunteers and not administrative assistants and whatever, we had such a huge backload of, you know, computer stuff and office stuff and everything that needed to be organized for the whole future of this land trust, which has done an incredible amount of work. So, you know, at this point, we're coming to you saying, all right, you know, we've come this far and now that money has run out and we need to be supported by this town again. You know, we've been doing a lot of work for the town and we need to be supported by the town. You know, and there was a time when the town was helping us with legal fees and all that kind of stuff. That came to an end. You know, we undertook our own legal fees, which are substantial, doing closings and all kinds of stuff like that, appraisal surveys, all of these things are part of doing business as a land trust, you know, and we've really tried to stretch our money.
I have a question for you. I can't speak to the administration fees, so I have no idea, because I don't even know what they are. So I don't, you know.
Well, we hired
So I don't
someone
even-
part-time.
Yeah, so I don't even know exactly what that is, so. But, so I don't have an issue with it, it's just that I couldn't even have an issue because I don't even know what you're spending the money on. But clearly, because I see the Friends of the Land Trust, you work very hard to raise money. So, and with all the properties you have, I mean, we all agree that we're just so proud of our town and everything you've done. I mean, it's just great. It really, really is a great thing. So don't take anything too much to heart. We appreciate you very much.
When we ask for help, it's because we really need it.
Right.
You know, we're not just saying,
Right.
hey, this would be great.
Yep.
It's like, if we don't get this, we're
I know.
broke.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of where we're at, you know.
If I could just interject, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, how much is the part-time person of that 13.2?
I think that's what she gets,
That's it?
13.2,
Okay.
yeah. And she's taken like literally stacks of, you know, boxes of paperwork from Tom's basement and her spare room. And yeah, everything in a file system,
Oh, I see.
everything on the computer, everything available so that every
That's good.
property has a whole, you know, database around it, supporting it with everything we need to know about it. You know, I mean, just things that had to get done, you
And you
know.
also need, and you've also been doing a great deal more on property, just so that it's open and it's available.
Getting people out there.
Getting people out there is really important.
Yeah.
So yes, I'd love to see you help. I'd love to see you with more money.
Well, great.
Okay. And of course, we also wrote the paper about the problems with trespass or destruction of property. So I don't know if that's still happening. Is it too cold for them now to go out?
I don't
Now
know.
they still go out?
Yeah, it goes down to.
Picnic tables in the river, you know, things like that.
So I just wanted to kind of bring a couple things. I know Sarah had mentioned about, you know, being kind of down and out in Beverly Hills here. But, you know, there are 3 accounts. The council wouldn't have known this, but, you know, the Citizens account has $25,000. The Webster Bank account has $131,000. And your stewardship account, which is the money that comes from the clerk, that had $5,000 rolled over from last year, and it's got about $6,800 in it. So You guys got about 163,000 still.
Right, but all of that money is allocated.
Okay.
You know, the citizens one is the one that we actually work out of operating budget, not land acquisition. So we have every, money situated so that we have it when we need it. But what we're saying is over all these 20 years, in that citizens bank, we have brought down to this. And at the end of this fiscal year, it's gonna be down to, whatever it is, 14,000, which is not enough to get us through this next year. So that's.
Yeah, no, I just wanted folks to understand what,
Yeah.
what was on deposit too, so,
I project that the citizens account will be down to about 4,000 by the end of this fiscal year.
That money, the ones that has been bonded, that we have put into that account for real estate purchase, that we have sales and purchase agreement.
The Webster.
Oh, that's the Webster.
That's the
Webster
130.
That's
account
spoken
on-
for.
But the thing is,
Right.
when
So
Barbara
we-
says that we're spending too much money here on administrative, this isn't showing the money that we spent to buy property. And in terms of administrative fees, the Hopkinton Land Trust is a municipal land trust, folks. And I just want to reiterate this. I've never met Councilor Davis. I'd like to introduce myself, Carol Baker. I've been on the land trust, as Sarah Windsor has, since the beginning in 2000. Marilyn Grant is our chair. Tom Thompson was our chair forever. Mary Gibbons, Harvey Buford was on it. We are members of the town. This is a municipal land trust. And I'm thrilled to hear folks sitting at this diocese say that they support us, but honestly, I don't always see it. I know we're poor. My tax is gonna go 5% like everybody else's. I'm an empty nester now and live by myself. I have to pay those. But we need to put our money where our mouth is. The Hopkinton Land Trust, we have more properties per capita, per area than the South Kingstown Land Trust that has 5 full-time staff members that are paid. So the reason that we are as organized now and as efficient that we have is because we have Chris Anderson, who is an angel, and has organized all of our paperwork and things like that, so we meet the criteria of the land trust councils, so that we are documented and things like that. So we are using our money so frugally, as Sarah has said, and it looks like we have a lot of money in the bank. I'm sorry that we didn't get these spreadsheets to you sooner, but you'll see, it looks like we have a lot of money in the bank, but it's all spent on projects, and it's all gonna be
We
gone.
have some amazing projects that we're.
We can't talk about that.
Are,
The overview.
yeah,
Really
yeah, to
great.
Carol's point, I mean, I wanted folks to know what's on deposit with us, so the council wouldn't have known that without me, looking it up with Brian, so.
All they have to do is come to the land trust
No,
council.
I know.
And read our minutes, because the account balances are the minutes
Right. The only-
every single month.
Right, the only one that really pertains to operating is the citizens, so I know that, and it's getting pretty low.
yeah.
But, we're currently paying 76,000 in debt service now, and in the summer, we're gonna have to add to that 170,000, so it's gonna be almost $250,000 a year for that debt service, so that's also gonna impact the budget going forward.
The bonds
It
were
is what it is,
voted
right.
by the townspeople.
But I just wanna let folks know.
Overwhelmingly,
No, no,
yeah.
I realize that, but
Yeah.
it's real money that has to be spent and factored in, so,
Yeah,
no, I get it, so.
And once again, unfortunate timing.
No, right.
Coming this year. It was voted in 2008, but I don't think we even got the first grant until 2013.
Yeah.
Because the real estate market dropped,
Right.
and we couldn't get decent appraisals, and people would say, no, I'm not gonna have that land.
The good thing is it takes you a while to buy stuff, which is, from my perspective, good. It's less expensive when you take a
And the
while.
other thing is, my comments on your operating expense to property, I wanted you to up the property. I didn't say you had to reduce the operating. I would just like to see even more money spent on property. I think it's very important that you have money. I think it's absolutely crucial. We need to find it.
But I would like to make 2 points.
Sure.
If it continues to be a percentage of the real estate transfer tax, I don't see it affecting the bottom line. It affects my good friend Lisa at the town clerk's budget.
But that spills
But it
over,
does not affect the bottom line.
that spills over to us though too, right, Brian?
Well, yeah, it'd be less revenue that we take in that we'd have to find somewhere else, like fund balance. I mean, it's all connected, but
The other thing is that
Unfortunately.
money, right? That goes into a fund that Brian established because it was restricted to stewardship. I would like to request, or we would like to request that it be put into our citizens account so that we can spend it on whatever and not just stewardship expenses.
Can you explain the stewardship, what the difference is between that
It
and?
particularly says no legal fees, and legal fees are a really big expense for
And
us.
since we no longer can use the town's lawyers, thanks to the
Right.
town council 4 or 5 years ago, we now have to pay for them.
So if there's a mechanism by which that money can go directly to the citizens, it makes several things easy. One, Brian doesn't have to mess with that account anymore. And two, anytime we have reimbursables, they have to come from the citizens account, because that, the auditor has told him, if you spend from that account, it has to go back in that account. And for some reason, it can't go into this little stewardship, which is maybe because it's CIP, I don't really understand that. So just overall, I think it would make functioning
Well, I guess
easier,
that's-
but.
We have to mull that over, Merrill, it's not a quick decision, but.
Well, it's an important one for us because, we don't know at a given time what we're gonna need money for. I mean, we plan stewardship things as, we have the money for that, but if something else is more pressing, if we have a closing coming up and we have to go to Providence and John McCoy's got us on the dollar, we gotta pay him.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's maybe something,
Yeah.
maybe something we can figure out.
So the trails are not open.
I might just mention that in that broad category of stewardship, assuming that Conservation Commission gets its budget this year, we're trying to focus a good portion of that on the signs, the trails, the maps and stuff, which fits into that category as far as I know. And I've talked with Chris, with the Friends of the Land Trust about partnering up to pay for some additional signage and stuff. So, we're trying to find a broader group of folks to kind of help out on the whole topic so that, we get a new property, Crown Farm, we want to open it up this summer to the public.
Yeah. You've just done a great job on that too. All
So,
of the properties have opened up just beautifully.
I'm just saying, collectively, we've got a little bit larger group that's all kind of working in parallel to make this happen. And so, I would just say I concur with what they're saying. There's times when they, as much as they want to go out and put in a parking lot, it may be more important to go and do pay for the turn fee and have a closing on the property. So, giving them some flexibility would maybe make the same amount of dollars a little bit more valuable.
Sorry, Harvey, I thought you were done. I have a question for you, Brian and everybody. As I look at the CIP for 19 and fiscal year 1920, it's got $10,000 down, okay? But they get 25% of the real estate and not to exceed 10K. Now, it's so not to exceed 10K, so they might get 10K plus this 10.
No.
No.
That is
That's the same? That's the
That is
same?
the sales.
All right, that's what I needed to know. Oh, okay.
Basically,
Because you
they're
might
asking
want to say,
not to
exceed
15,000.
15,000.
Right.
Correct.
You know.
That is correct. That is exactly what
Yeah,
they're
that's
asking.
what
Oh, okay, oh, all right, I got you.
So, well, anyway, good points on the stewardship money, that kind of thing. We'll have to talk to Brian Finance and figure that out. It's not a quick answer, but, and anyway, we'll see how things unfold. You're not asking for a lot, I guess, so we'll see how it shakes out, This is just the first budget meeting, so.
I'm honored to be the
Yeah,
first on the list.
you should be
What's
later
that?
though.
First on the list.
Yes,
Well,
yes. Much
I
rather
actually have a
have
question for you. So if you're asking for 5,000 and it's up to 15, she's asking for 5,000 more. It's 8,500 per penny.
Right.
So that means we would be going up to 20.84 from 20.83. Doesn't sound terrible to me. I mean, the whole thing's terrible, but the penny is not.
But
Yeah,
that-
just like we have a savings account as a town, right? So, that's a good.
But I mean,
I'm hopeful that we find some savings somewhere. and not to increase the mill rate or something. But anyway, thanks, ladies.
At what point in the budget process are these decisions made, so we can be,
Yeah, no,
Part of
we
that
know, we know at the
conversation.
end of each night, Brian gives us an overview of what was subtracted or added. And so we know, we have 4 of these meetings and a supplemental 5th meeting, so, you know, reach out to me, Brian, whatever. We'll know as how things are progressing, you know, so.
because at some point you're gonna decide whether or not you give us that extra $5,000.
It's March 11th.
Is
So
the
March
last budget?
11th is the 4th meeting.
Okay.
So that 4th meeting where we have all the nonprofits come in, and we may or may not have the 5th. So if you want to know when that drop dead decisions, they could happen on the 11th.
But the bottom line is that the financial town assembly is in May, first Tuesday, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and after that meeting, the town council decides on a budget to present to the voters in June. So that's the drop dead. The fact of the matter is, the town is really up against it, and we got to deal with that reality. I mean, I was proud when we started the land trust. I was on that council that started that many years ago. One of the highlights of my council service, actually, started the land trust. But times are really tough. You know, we'll just see how this breaks out. I mean, right now, I'm sitting here thinking about the school budget because it consumes so much of our property taxes. That's really the elephant in the room.
All right, sounds good, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Carol would probably have the health and pension definitive numbers by the election. We don't have those yet. That helps.
See what happens, thank you. Next time, put the 10K from the clerk in there. So you know you're looking for 5 and not 15.
That's
I thought you were looking for 15, I almost had a stroke.
That's okay. I know about late nights, working and working and working.
I'll let
With
you
numbers.
take off a lot of simple numbers, but
I bet.
beginning education.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on our agenda is the planning department, pages 22 and 23. Mr. Lampier is here. Steve? You want to talk anything about it, Bill, or you want to just go have at it? All right, so page 23, oh, I'm sorry. Page 22, we got planner salary and senior planner Sean Henry. Any questions there for the council? Okay. Page 23, we'll go by the top section, compensation and salary. Any questions there, folks? Okay. Anything under services? Supplies, maintenance, and operations? Okay. And planner revenues, any
Where does
questions?
it come from? And my question is, can you explain revenues and why you think it's 10.3? I mean, I'm happy if it is.
I took a look at the next fiscal year, and I estimated, based upon historical results, that we probably do one administrative subdivision every 2 months, for a total of 6 for the year, 4 minor subdivisions, and 1 major subdivision or land development project. And when you project the cost out for each of those, all the steps and everything, it comes out to 10.3. I think it's an estimate that's in the ballpark of that historical range.
Can you say that again? Those 4 things you said? One
Yeah,
one administrative subdivision.
Yeah, most of the revenues that we take in at the planning department are true subdivisions, administrative subdivisions, which are simple lot line adjustments, minor subdivisions, which are 5 lots or less, and then major subdivisions or land developments, which are 6 or more. So in that category, you could have, not a subdivision, you could have a solar project, a large solar project, such as 310 Main Street, that's a major land development project. So I just, roughly estimated, projecting forward what we could look at. I think the rash of solar applications are probably going to tail off going forward. So I know we had a little bit of a blip the last fiscal year or 2 with revenues, but I don't think that's going to continue.
Do you know the 10/22/50, that's year to date as of December 31st? So is that, we see 10/250?
Yes.
Okay, that's year to date, so you have another half year yet. So do you think that's going to go up?
Year to date, yes. For
Okay.
this fiscal year, that should go up.
So you think that might go up, and I assume it's not going to double, but
So what's your point? Do you want to?
my point is
wanna add
that
to
the
that
10/3 might be able to go up if he's at 10/250.
The solar projects, that's what he was saying about the solar projects,
Uh-huh.
that, because we did sit down and review this, I had him, put together a list of everything in the pipeline, and a lot of that stuff's gonna fall in this fiscal year, not next fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
So, we
You think
don't,
10/3 is valid?
right, and we don't really know how many of those are gonna happen and fall in FY '20, that's the concern. We know we're gonna have a little more revenue this year for sure, because of what, Jim has seen in pipelines, but we don't know we think it's gonna probably start to dry up next fiscal year.
So 10/3 you think is?
Yeah, we upped it 6,300 from last year, so we're just, we did increase it based on historicals and a solid estimate of what we think will actually come to fruition, but I don't think
You
the
think it's
solar,
going to slow down?
I think the solar projects, I mean, that's just my guess, you guys are more hands-on with that stuff than I am, but Jim seemed to make that recommendation, I agree with him.
So we'll leave it, I guess, another petition.
For going forward, do you have a rate that you charge for these?
Yeah, each phase has a certain rate.
No,
For
what is it?
example, a major subdivision has 4 steps: pre-application, master plan, preliminary plan, and final plan. Now, when you get to the master and preliminary stages, you have a flat fee, plus you have so many per lot. So again, this is a ballpark, and on a minor subdivision, you can have anywhere from 1 new lot being created to 4 new lots. So again, I kind of like split it down the middle
Okay,
here.
I just,
So good, revenue.
Fine.
okay.
All right, you guys have any other questions on the revenue section? Okay, I think that's it for Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Next up, building and zoning, page 2021.
Excuse me, Frank.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce our new building official,
Oh, okay.
Dave Rodeo. Dave, why don't you stand up for a second?
Well,
Hi there.
Dave's been with us for a couple of weeks now.
Fourth week, fifth week, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Well, welcome.
I saw your citation in our packet.
Yes, we do. I say, don't be a fine, can you find them?
Well, it looked like a pretty in-your-face letter. Better do this or else.
Oh, well, that was excellent.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
You too.
Okay, folks, any questions on page 20, building and zoning?
No.
And Sherry's here too, so if you get Sherry.
Oh, there you are. I didn't recognize you.
I know, I didn't know.
I have a question on that.
Which one?
I have a question on page 20.
Okay, good.
The stipend, the 420,
Okay.
that was Sherry's, is it going to go up to the building official? Where
Yes,
is
that'll
this?
be going to the building official.
Okay, so the 420 is not zoning deputy, it'll go up to the building official? Okay, 'cause it's shown on the
The
budget,
sheet is showing under Sherry.
under Sherry?
Oh, right, okay.
It's on the wrong line.
Yeah, actually, wasn't exactly discussed, but I think that's the way it's worked in the past, so it makes sense.
The department head.
Yeah, usually it's the department head.
That's for the cell phone, correct?
Correct.
Yes, correct, that's cell phone. That
Okay.
just gets switched.
Page 21, top portion, compensation and salary. Any questions there, folks? Okay. Next is tech services. Any questions there? Looks like a bunch of pass-throughs.
Yep.
Supplies, maintenance, and operations. Any questions there?
Yeah, I have a question. Brian?
Yep.
I'm assuming what you're doing is combining contract services and supplies with the line item now at 950 instead of 750?
Yeah, that was a recommendation from, at the department head meeting. that the building and zoning office asked us if we could do that, and we agreed. I guess they wanted to get some new equipment this year, having a new director in there. I guess his office is pretty outdated, so they wanted to shift some money over so that they could buy a new desk, I think, amongst other things.
So that's just a combination, you're just combining supplies and contract services?
Yeah, so it's a
in one
net
line.
zero impact. We just shifted $200 down from contract services down to supplies.
Okay, thank you.
I'm giving a
Have a
chair
nice
if he
day.
wants a new chair.
Or a new chair.
That's it?
Milk crate's fine.
New chair.
Milk crate's fine with me.
Chair. Somebody give this man a
Don't
new
be
chair.
giving away your chair now.
Oh, yeah, you should
Can I
definitely
ask
do it.
why some things are,
Yeah, which section, Sharon?
I'm right there on that page.
I know,
Why,
but which section?
Which section?
well, for example, tech services, all
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Why is stuff budgeted but you spent at $1 and you
Must have
spend
passed
more?
through.
So, yeah, so those are pass-through expenses, meaning that you'll see that throughout this budget. It's the way it's always been done, and it does make the most sense because it's a zero impact to the town. So instead of, we don't know what that amount's gonna be, but we know that we're gonna be reimbursed 100%. So we just put $1 and $1. So, for example, say it was 5,000, we'd have to estimate that it was gonna be 5,000 and then put it in expense and revenue,
Yes.
which would still be a net zero impact, so we just put it at $1.
So if I may, Sharon, that's actually, in our budget, that's a fee that we collect on behalf of the state with the permit fees that we then forward to the state after we collect them.
So you would, so for example, in year-to-date, there's $6,277 that came in and will go out.
Exactly.
You can see below in the revenue section that there's $4,580 in revenue. That's the offset to the $6,277. So there's a little bit of a timing issue. As with most things, it takes us a little bit of time. We pay it up front and then we wait to recoup our money.
Yeah, I just have a question. I was noticing on revenues, it says fiscal year 17-18 actual was 148,496. The budget of fiscal year 18-19 was 85,000. And year to date, as of December 31st, is 51,518, which I assume halfway through the year. But why did it go from 148,496 to 85,000? What happened there?
I think there was,
I'm just curious.
there was, Sherry, do you remember last year? There was one big
They
project.
had the B2B gateway building that went up, so depending on what the development is, the cost for the permits are based on the cost of that development.
Yeah, that was probably a $4 million.
So that was a very
Yeah, so we had a
hefty
big
permit
project.
fee.
I mean, it was just a big gap there, I was just curious.
Yep, it was just a very large permit fee.
The fees are based on the cost of the construction.
Yeah, that
Does
was-
it work the same way with solar?
Yep,
Yes.
Sure
We
does.
were just talking about the Main Street development, it may bring in over 100,000 in
the
fees.
Pelican fee, on the Pelican campground, they had called and gave a working up estimate for them right now, which is gonna be in excess of 150,000.
Was the size of that. Okay. Any other questions on page 21 for building and zoning?
So it's possible that this revenue item, before we finish our meetings, we may decide to bump it up. We get more information.
Well, that will most likely be
In this fiscal year,
this
not
fiscal
next?
year.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's tough timing wise, because by the time we
Oh,
realized,
this,
Yeah, that
not that, that's
Right.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions for building and zoning, guys? I think we're good. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice
to meet you guys.
Thank you.
thank you.
Next, town clerk, probate court elections, canvases, boards and commissions. Start with pages 7 and 8. questions on page 7?
Yes.
Yes, Sharon.
Why is the Board of Canvassers, I guess I was reading it wrong, but at any rate, it's at 1,200, but you don't see it in the big, on those lines prior to that, which is what you're saying was, just means it got passed through? Or it just, I mean,
You have on page 7.
Yes,
Yeah,
page
I'm on
7.
page 7.
Yes.
So that line,
no, I'm on the line that says Board Canvassers.
The $1,200 base rate.
right,
Yeah,
it's on page 9. Under Board of Canvassers, line item
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen. It's an expense,
then why isn't it?
that's just the way it's
Okay,
set up.
all right, I thought I was gonna find some money.
Um,
Wait a minute, So this is just a summary page?
Yeah.
This is more salaries.
Salaries.
But the Board of Canvassers just doesn't indicate that how many people are there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
It's
them
other,
on the Board of Canvassers.
And the probate?
same thing,
Same thing.
page 9, top, 40.
Okay, all right, so I'm done with 7.
Okay, any other questions, folks, on page 7? Okay. Page 8, start at the top, compensation and salary.
I'm sorry, what does the co-share mean on page 7?
The town, depend on the union agreement, so all the unions are pretty much at, except for the police, are at 22%, meaning that the town pays 78% and the employee pays 22%. So of the healthcare premiums and dental premiums.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, page 8, compensation and salary, top portion. Any questions there, folks? Okay, next section is advertising. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. Next is services. Any questions there?
Yes.
Okay, Sharon, please.
The under services education, 925.
That increase is, my deputy is going to start attending municipal clerk school this year. So in this current year's budget, we're paying out what her tuition is going to be, and it's $925. The $925 that you see in the fiscal year 1920 budget is for next year's one-week course, and then I expect there'll be one more year.
So we have one in 1920,
2021.
In 2020.
Yeah, I like,
2020, we don't see that though yet.
Right.
So we just see the first year is 925.
Hold on one second, Scott. You know this? Okay, Sharon, you
I had a
have
question about leased equipment.
Please take that.
Yes,
Where
you're
are you,
not,
Oh, okay.
line
Under
100,
services?
5200, yeah. You've not spent anywhere near 1,000 in the last couple of years, so I would have dropped it to 800. I'm fine doing 200 here and whatever.
Yeah, I think that there's a reason to that.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Right.
I'm sorry.
The question here on leased equipment.
It's under services.
Yes, yep.
Can you
I think it
explain?
should be 800, not 1,000. You've not spent 1,000 in the last 3 years, whatever. So, you know, 200 here and 200 there add up.
Yeah, I can, you want me to look into, usually it's contractual, a lot of the lease equipment.
There are some things that are leased. The postage meter has a quarterly lease payment of, it used to be $148, just went up to $152. That's one item that's in there. How do we factor in the leased equipment for the copy?
Yeah, generally, those type of items, I, have a spreadsheet where I say, okay, this equipment is X amount quarterly, this equipment is monthly, X amount, and I kind of have a breakdown. So it's not just,
But you haven't spent 1,000 in the last 3 years, so that's why I'm saying maybe we ought to make it 800 instead of 1,000.
I think we could probably.
Yeah, we-
Thank you.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, sure, sounds good.
All right, I'd go to 750.
Yeah, that's why I said 800.
Okay, anything under supplies, maintenance, and operations
I have a question.
on that section?
No, services.
Oh, go back to service.
What is the status about preservation of town records right now?
Every year, we put aside $1,000.
I know we do that, but, I mean, how's the progress on it?
Oh, we're making great progress. As a matter of fact, we just received 2 books back. Veterans Book 1, which was our first veterans book, which was consisted of multiple pages of different varying sizes, just clipped into a book. We had set aside, it takes 2 or 3 years setting aside $1,000 a year to get up enough money to generate, to restore a book. That book just came back. Generator Aldrich was our former town clerk, and she passed away, and there are some donations also. So that book came back in its restored form in 2 different books. And at some point, I would like to have the family come in, because there's a dedication inside the leaf. And I would like to have the Aldrich family come in and see what some of the funds that they donated. But we are making progress every year. The former Brownswood River binder is now profile, comes in there assessed, and thanks to the efforts of Generator Aldrich, we are in good shape as far as stabilizing our original record. That's great.
Anything else, Scott?
That's it.
Supplies, maintenance, and operations, any questions there?
Yes, the first one, printing and copying,
Yes.
1,200, is that, should that go up 200? You haven't spent anything so far this year, but in the past you spent 14. Usually we start, we've started incurring expenses on it. We're gonna have to print out vouchers. Vouchers are, my office takes care of all the vouchers for every department. That's gonna come due. Printing and copying also pays for the ballots for the budget referendum for Charo and Hopkinton. You could, I prefer just level funding. Well, level funding, just, but you've
But you've always
spent,
spent 14.
you've always spent 14. I mean, it seems to me more reasonable to be at 14.
She's
Hey,
the department head,
she
she's
put down
saying level
12.
funding.
I'd rather not.
She's the department head.
Because what happens
Well,
is
race
in
share
that
is $200.
entire, I don't
on
know,
one
in
full
that
school.
entire budget, if that line item goes over by 1, or however
So you've
amount,
had
then
that
there's
a lot.
other line
Yeah,
items.
yes.
Yeah.
He wants to stay level funded even if you're going to go
Yeah,
up.
I try not to deplete
I know.
those.
I have another question
So
on
what's the answer?
operating supplies.
Keep it the same.
12.
All right,
12,
so we
okay.
have operating supplies at 3,000. Can we take that down to 300, take that down by 300? Because you really haven't spent that either.
Well, that's starting to come due now also. A lot of times we don't start spending until.
Right.
But you've not spent more than
2,400, so I
So
would
you want to
drop
decrease
it by
it?
300.
Okay.
And the next line item, the dog licenses, can we drop that by 100 or more people getting dogs?
We just got our licenses, we're gonna come in closer, I mean, drop it by 50.
Sure. Okay, 50's fine. And the next line item, travel and conference, that's at 300?
Yep.
Can that go down 100, or do you have something?
I
else?
added to that because Marita's going to be,
Going to next
So that's
school.
one
that's
class.
the increase.
Yeah.
She got all those changes.
So the operating supplies are reducing by 300, so it's down to 27.
27, and then 50 for the next one.
and then 350.
And the other one was the least equipment was 80. Well, that's 550.
What is required?
How about
for
raising
school?
the price of dog licenses?
What's that?
How about raising the price of dog licenses?
I think it's by state.
It's, no, you have it in your ordinance that they're $5 a dog. State law also requires that we collect $1 for rabies. It has to do with cat.
babies. So the town council could potentially look at the ordinance and you could address it up.
That's not where we're gonna make up our money.
No, but I mean, it was a good question, so yes, that could be done.
It would require a change in the
In
ordinance.
the ordinance, yeah.
How long's it been though?
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's been $5
Well,
for a long
it's
time. I think they're much higher. So it is something that you could look at. I can provide you with the ordinance and you can study it and let me know what you think. It would be too late to put into place this year because our license renewals are going to be going out next month. So it is a good idea.
Bad idea, I think.
Frank
I like dogs. I like people who have dogs.
Hey, Frank,
Raising our cats.
Frank, Eric has a dog.
Now you think it's
He just got a new one.
You're not here.
Let me think on that one a little bit.
I just would hate to see it. So it's expensive to have a dog these days.
As Sharon said, a couple hundred here, 100 there.
Yeah,
That's where you know it.
so now we're at minus
Can we
5.
target each house like?
Brian.
Right,
Yeah.
so we're at minus 550 so far?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have one
Yes, he does.
Okay.
That was the world.
What section's got, that's his problem.
town clerk revenue.
That's where his voting interest is too.
I'm just curious, okay, I understand now. I just,
I wanted to ask Lisa, could you just briefly let me know for Marita's schooling? Is it daytime? Is it something she does on her own time? Is it
No, she
merriment? Is it semester driven? You know,
It's
how
1
many?
week a year.
1 week a year.
Yeah, it used to be held at Salve
Mhm.
in Newport, now it's in Plymouth State, in New
Plymouth State.
Hampshire.
I was just there this weekend. It's a
Great.
hell of a drive.
Yeah. So that covers a full week
Yep.
of her tuition and housing, her meals.
Wow.
and everything. So It's a good,
Now, does she just have that 1 week, or is there
Yes.
next year she's got to?
next week,
Next
next year
year
would
she
be
does
another
another
week,
Yep.
and the year after that would be
So
the
it's
3rd and
3 years.
final week. I mean, and then she could continue if she wanted to pursue other.
But we don't have to pay for those.
No, just something that, yes, I don't think.
Are we
the town
contractually
should-
obligated to pay this?
You're not.
Oh, we're not.
No, you're not contractually obligated.
It's just that it's
I
been
think
done
it's a
in the past.
courtesy, and I think it hasn't always been done in the past. I went a year ago.
You did, yeah. Okay.
And the police, of course, their school paid.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yep, okay, any notes on the revenue? Yep.
Is this 215,000, is that a summary of something, or is that just all that is on that line? And what does it include?
Revenues, that's what we take in for, you see my monthly report, for licensing, for recording. It's our, there's some fees that we take in for like a recording surcharge that the state gets $3 of, and we keep $1. Same with record copies, they take the lion's share of certain, like victualling license. It's commercial haulers licenses, it's your liquor licenses, it's what the state retains. And you see the town allocation on their reports.
Okay, anything else for page 8, folks? Okay, next page is starting with probate court. Any questions there, folks? For probate revenue? Yeah, okay, probate court.
I was questioning again those dollars, those $1.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
They're pass-throughs. And then, under the election wages appointed.
Oh, you were not.
Oh, hold on, we're not there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
going. Yep.
Okay.
So we're all set with probate court top section?
Yes.
Okay, next, probate revenues, any questions there, folks?
No.
Okay. Board of canvassers, any questions there?
I have a question on canvassers' wages
Yes.
at 500. I know we've done that before. It's 50. I'm assuming you're going to, but you've never spent more than 160.
We've
Is
been
that something we can?
fortunate, well, we've been fortunate that the town's been able to do a lot of the work for the canvassers in-house. There was a period of time when we first got the central voter registration system, where the board of canvassers had to come in and do. We are pretty efficient right now. This year we'll be having them come in and do a little more work because on alternating years, when it's off election years, they do a national change of address procedure, and there will be a little more involved, but that's this fiscal year, so
put 200?
maybe.
It would still
Yeah.
give you 300.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, 200.
That's on canvassers wages,
No, canvassers' wages, yeah,
so down to 300.
right. And the next question is on advertising legal. Again, we spent 400 before, it's 246 so far. Can we go down 100 to 300, or is that too
I would be
close?
hesitant to do that.
Okay.
I know that when I deplete one of those line items, and advertising is not going down, it's going up.
Oh, yeah.
The state requires certain amounts of advertising. You can take it down $50 or something, but, one in 16, 17, we went over 400.
Right.
So-
I'm okay with staying at 400 if you feel that's going to be needful, especially if we end up
Well, we
having
just,
two school board ones. That's possible, so I can
So,
say
I don't think it takes much to get.
we'd still pay more. We'll still pay more.
well, you get reimbursed
Yeah,
for the
for one.
first,
For one.
1,500,
The second one.
1,500, the second one, any additional ones we do not get reimbursement.
It'll be worth it. Anyway, my tidbit. Okay, anything else on the board of canvassers? Okay, what about elections? Any questions there?
Was somebody certified for town moderator, because Hopkins trying to moderate the Charter meeting?
No,
No.
So maybe we should have on the agenda to appoint a moderator, because
no, it's not this year. I spoke with,
Yeah, it's Richmond now.
it's Richmond.
Yeah.
it's Richmond this year?
Yes, oh, yeah.
Okay, so.
Because you
I
remember
see.
last year it was Sylvia Stanley.
Right, so my question,
No, I'm talking about moderator.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so,
Chair.
with the town moderator, we did not have a candidate for that position.
No
So it went
write-ins?
to, there was write-ins, and we had a winner of 4, with 4 write-ins. I sent a letter to the individual, he said yes, he would take it. Now he's relenting, and he wants to go to he says, why don't you see if the other 2 individuals that were tied at 3 votes apiece. So I have to speak with the Board of Elections, there's nothing in our charter. One of the individuals who had 3 votes is in the audience.
You're not looking at me. Him?
No.
That's me.
No, I was a write-in for.
You were writing for.
For lots of things,
moderator.
apparently.
Yeah, including that.
So I'll be talking with the Board of Elections tomorrow to see if the time.
How much paid? What are we talking?
$50.
I'll donate the $50 to the town.
No, this is, I used to be the moderator. Charahoe gives you 75, the town gives you 50. The problem with being the town moderator is if you're the town moderator of Hopkinton, you can't serve on any boards or commissions because it's election office. But I would respectfully ask the council president to put it on the agenda for Tuesday night to a town moderator position in appointment if necessary,
Well,
because
Lisa's going to talk to
She
the
has
board.
to-
She's
She's
going to talk to the
I
board.
think there's time.
no, but that's not the point. The point is that we only have the Charahoe meeting, annual meeting is March 6th, so if we have to make an appointment, it should
Do
be on
not
the
have
agenda.
to. I already spoke with the superintendent's assistant, it is not Hopkins' turn, she already knows the situation.
It's
So we don't-
it's not Hopkins' turn to run the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that run with the chairperson? Does it run with that?
I don't know how that runs, I know
No.
that each town
It
gets.
would make sense if it did, but.
okay, can we go to election wages appointed?
Yes.
Can you explain 4,000 when it was budgeted at 7, but you spent 53?
Yes.
Do you feel, can
You
you
want-
just explain?
Yeah, I actually was going to ask if that, if
Well, you
4,000 was
wanna-
too low.
No, 4,000 because, let's see, I can address the proposed budget first, and then we can go back to that. most expensive one. So I reduced it to 4 because in one fiscal year, we had the Jarrow budget referendum, Hopkinton's budget referendum, the primary, in the general election, in a fiscal year. We don't have that. The next time we're gonna have, let's see, the presidential preference primary is gonna be March, April 2020. We'll have to have all 3 polling places open, and we'll have the Jarrow budget referendum in Hopkinton. So I feel there's enough money in there. This year, we've got that $5,300 amount that's been spent because of the primary and the general election, and now we have Jarrow's budget referendum coming up and Hopkinton's budget referendum coming up, and you may, what I'm hearing, you may have 2 Jarrow budget referendum. One we will get reimbursement for, one we will not. So, one year we had 3 Jarrow budget.
Yes, we did. Can I ask also about advertising legal? Again, should that go up?
I'd rather level funded.
And level funded, you're fine?
Yeah.
And what about also supplies? Can I go down? Can I go down to 500 from 600?
Sure.
Okay. 500 for supplies
Because I
instead
can
of
use my other
600.
budget.
Okay. Yep, thank you.
That's it on page 9, and then I guess,
Boards and commission.
boards and commissions 47 and 49. Page 48, actually.
48.
Yep. Top is zoning board of review.
Yeah. I was asking about the clerk stipend. Yeah, I was gonna take it down a thousand.
They usually get 200 a meeting, and the reason it was up was we had Love's Travel stuff that took a good amount of time,
So
so.
that's one.
Can we take it down 1,000?
What, say that again?
Clerk stipend
Clerk stipend.
under zoning board of review.
They're not meeting as often as they were.
No. So we'll bring it up from 3 to 2.
And then the same as on contract services, the 1,000, is that an appropriate amount?
That's a pass-through type of thing as well. That's when we hire a stenographer, the applicant gets filled out for that amount.
So maybe that
Should
should
it
be
be,
reflected.
should it be $1?
That's a question for Brian.
Make it consistent.
Contract services, Brian, under zoning board of review, item 50, 60.
Yeah, that is a pass-through. It should be, I have a note here saying it should be made equal to contract, so it should be $1, which had, I don't think there was any urgency to change it, because it was a net, so, but I'll change it now.
So the total for zoning board expenses is 2,480 now?
To the one,
Or 2,480.
481.
Yeah.
All right, 2,481, right, 2,481.
Okay, anything under revenue? Any questions there?
Same question on contract services, can that be one?
I believe that he mentioned it.
Is that, so that can be a one?
Hey, Brian, under revenue under zoning board, is that, can we drop that down to $1 as a pass-through? Is that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Yeah. So the 1,000 in the expense and the 1,000,
Okay.
I just, instead of having 1,000 offset each other, I made it one,
Okay.
So
a
it's
dollar.
one, okay, thank you. That's fine.
One each?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's 205.
But it doesn't really, well, does it change the bottom line?
No.
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 Okay.
But I did have a question on the
You know
revenue, the 2050 on revenue, we don't seem to have had.
Well, that's another thing. With zoning board, there's filing fees involved, like for dimensional variance is $50, and it's $75 for a special use permit. But that was supposed to take care of advertising, back in 1994, it probably did. Now, advertising is more than that, and it does state in those, the application proper, that any expenses incurred have to be billed up. So we bill up the advertising also.
So we don't really have a revenue, well, 2050.
Sounds like you do.
There is a revenue, but because it's not the same, it's not equal. I don't know how they my report states, for the town allocation, it'll state zoning board.
Looks like
zoning expenses or something along those lines, and it'll say what it is for the month. If there were 2 or 3 different petitions that were filed, it'll give one amount, but you're gonna be billing out and receiving more. So it is, it's not an equal, it's a plus.
All right, so we leave it at 2015.
It's really, revenues
It's
are,
under
revenues are
revenue,
fine.
yes.
Revenues
We don't
are
want to
fine.
reduce that, yes.
Revenues are fine. Planning board expenses, any questions there?
I don't know what contracts, well, first, now I know what, let me back up. The clerk stipend, is that,
Minutes.
That is for these clerks. The planner's assistant attends the meetings and does the minutes
Sure.
and prepares the planner materials.
And they're going to have plenty of meetings.
yeah, okay. And then what is contract services?
Jim here?
That's like the pass-through, I guess, that was just explained to the zoning board.
Oh, it's the same thing.
I would say. You agree, Brian? Is that-
I don't know, to be honest. I'd have to go back and look and see what has been charged in the past. It doesn't look like
A lot.
anything, yeah.
Well, you only have 100 in
Who
there.
pays for the, just the
You know,
input?
But you
Five
have
hundred.
500. Oh, you
Five
have
hundred.
500, yeah, 500.
Pass-through, yeah.
But there are
$500
times, if,
Where's the cost? Where's the 500 cost?
I would want to know one question, if I could ask, a
Yes.
question of Jim.
Oh, I
Your
see, I
subdivision
see.
regulations, do they allow the planning board to go outside and get additional services, technical services if need be? And would that be where that
Yes,
also
it
come
could,
into
it
play?
could be, that wouldn't be enough to cover it,
No.
actually, but that could be
I don't know how you,
So can I ask who paid for Crossman Engineering?
the applicant
That's right.
reimbursement.
So are you saying then that the 500 on line 5060 and the 500 in revenue, do they become both one? Or?
No, no, but I'm not exactly sure what has been the contract services, the 5060 has been used for in the
So you let
past.
us know, yeah.
Yeah. I can
Why don't
look
you
into
just
that.
check it and let us know what we can make that a one?
Any other questions on the revenue last portion?
Whatever happened to impact fees?
Impact fees goes.
That's
Where is that? Is
it's a-
that in general government revenue?
Yeah, general revenue.
It's actually a restricted account,
Right.
so it wouldn't show up in operating budget.
How
But
much
it's
is
on
in
that-
there now?
It's approaching 100,000 again. So I was actually,
That's
it's
our
on my
little
list. I was,
piggy bank.
next year I was thinking, but we can entertain it. Usually, once it gets to 100,000, we start entertaining using it to supplement some revenue, but
Piggy bank.
What is this?
It's a piggy bank.
What? I
Every time there's
Impact
every
fees
time there's a
built.
building, if there's a new house built in town, or anything built, I think it's commercial too, but there's an impact fee because they assume that there could be school children, and so you're allowed to charge an additional amount to the applicant. It goes part of the building fee, and that impact fee goes into a restricted account. And then every now and then we rate it, and we haven't rated it in a very long time,
a
which is why.
few years though. We
Well,
did it
so
a few
we get
years ago, and I
100,000,
think it's
but it's not
approaching.
rated per se.
No, it's just
used
utilized
for-
to
gotta be
offset an expense.
Rated!
Yeah.
But yeah, it often offsets.
In school.
Right,
Where does it show up in here?
It does.
It would.
It's in a restricted account.
Yeah, that's why I asked, but it's
It's
one of
not
those
part of
things,
operating.
yeah.
It's another report that you're providing in your package, you can see that.
And it's in the audit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not quite there yet, but it's quickly, so I was kind of projecting to use it next year if we needed it.
Okay. Page 49, anything on tax board review?
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, I guess I didn't know what the clerk stipend was.
Yeah, and sometimes they use it depending on their supplements and sometimes they don't.
And then, okay, that's, I do a peek on that page.
Yep. Conservation Commission?
That's Harvey.
So, we would be delighted if we could get level funding for.
No problem. I appreciate it. Oh, man, oh, man.
We don't want you moving out of town.
Thank you.
We'd have to have 5 people to replace you.
Maybe 6. Juvenile hearing board?
Yeah, why, we've not used it, so why don't we take it down to 1 if you want to keep
What?
that line?
Juvenile hearing board, Brian?
You're right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it hasn't been used since I've been here. I don't know if, I mean, that's probably something we should have addressed when the chief's here. It's under his, I mean, it's never been used, but, I mean,
I
I'm
think
sure
it
that
was there just in case they
I'm sure
needed
they-
to use something.
it's $100. I'm sure they could use
It's
it.
not gonna break the bank.
Yeah.
No, that I wanted.
No, you can take it down to $5, not a 1, it's not a pass-through.
Plus,
Take it to $5.
If there's a
Okay,
you know?
need, they need
All right.
copies or something like
Yeah,
that.
if you're gonna put it to $5, you might as well just make it zero.
Yeah, you're
What
right.
the hell are they gonna do with $5?
Yeah.
To the police
Because the line item's probably gonna continue to show
All
up.
right, we'll do
Every
zero.
budget, it'll just show zero.
All right, so we're taking that away?
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't do that unless you talk to the chief, but, I mean, he's the one
He's
that,
not here.
I
No,
know.
definitely.
I would ask the person that's in charge of it, you know, but,
Well, we know,
I mean, it's kind of
what
blind.
the board's for.
Yeah, but I don't have the time to listen to the explanation.
yeah, that's true,
For
yeah.
$100.
So it's
Well,
down,
take
it's
it
down to
down.
zero.
Put it on to zero. We'll deal with it later. Historic District Commission?
They'll leave that alone. Yeah, you're gonna keep this one.
I think that's it for that one, okay. Town Council. Page 45 and 46.
Well, there's some savings.
Yeah.
See that coming.
All the money that we
Wow.
on this page. Any questions on page 45, folks? Page 46?
Yes.
Yes.
I would change the contingency down to 1,500.
Well, we generally don't.
And you wouldn't let everybody
That's
check.
our only emergency.
Yeah, if we want a parade or whatever, you know.
Well, we get the parade, that's $500, but.
Well,
I
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's other things that come up.
We just had, like, stuff comes up every year, like the new microphones, you know,
But
instead
you
of having,
didn't spend it, you've not spent more than 50.
but we always,
But the
you guys always
microphones,
come up with
it's not
expenses and then we have to take it
But
out of
it's not
someone's
reflected.
And
budget.
microphones are not reflected here yet.
It
You
should
just
be,
spent it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this number is higher.
You just bought the
I
chairs.
can't really tell, you know,
Chairs.
just because it's there for the half a year, because it may not be posted yet.
Well, but I'm looking at the other two, I mean, we didn't know that you had done something like the microphones.
I'm in favor
You know,
of
which
keeping
is-
that.
Right, and in order to,
Honestly.
in order to legally, have it come out of council contingency, we need it on an agenda item. And we need to say we appropriate X amount to
But
those.
it's the only account we have discretion over.
Yeah, so it doesn't automatically happen, but it needs to get on an
What
agenda.
happens is a lot of times, department heads, when you guys make a decision, it ends up falling on some random department head that has to absorb that expense because, you know, the decision's made to go help someone with some engineering cost or help someone with something, and there's nowhere to take that money from, so you end up having to use someone's budget who has no idea that probably has the funds earmarked for something, or else they wouldn't have it.
Oh,
in the first place.
nobody's gonna have $1,000 lying around.
That's what I'm saying.
For a microphone system.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So then you're gonna go to like DPW and ask them to take it out of some random account number.
It
and
belongs
he-
in council contingency,
Right.
but it's gotta be an agenda item. Correct.
Yes, Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, on the stipends for the town council,
Yes.
you guys can't increase it this year. But next year, seriously consider going back up to that number. For the amount of time and stuff that people have spent on the solar projects and all that, the only way you can do it is the year that there's an election, because it's not
For
guaranteed.
the next
to you.
sitting council.
That's correct. And if you win, then you get it, but there's a lot of time that you guys are gonna put in.
You're preaching to the choir, my friend.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Tom said, because during the solar hearings, someone had told me that town council was getting $6,000 apiece. And
Oh, man.
I'd still be on the council.
I had no idea. I said, "Are you sure?" "I'm positive, 100%. I said, "Well, why don't you speak to it?" "Well, I don't get up there and talk." I said,
Oh, yeah.
"Okay."
They want you to do it.
So I went back and I looked at the budget, and when I saw the $2,225, and, you know, all those numbers, I went back to this person, I said, "You know how much they really get?" "How much?" "Can't be." I said, Can't be. Did you look at the budget? I said, it doesn't cover the time, never mind the expense, the travel, everything else that's involved. You buy me coffee every day.
That's $1.07. Right.
So just food for thought, that's
Point
all.
well taken, Tom and Joe.
What was it before? Or,
President was 3,500. I think vice president.
Well, but the
was
money got moved
3.
around, it got shifted around, the
Yeah.
bottom line stayed the same.
Oh, did it?
And these numbers are the same numbers when we got elected in 2006.
Right.
Which I'm not saying I want an increase at all, because I don't. But, no, not. No, I'm not, really not.
since 2006?
Yes.
Since 2006, and I thought that was a lot of money.
Maybe that's what it was, and that's
was a lot
right,
of
it did get
money.
leveled out. The numbers were higher.
Yes, it was too high back then.
That's me.
I think the council should, and if you look at other cities and towns, they really do. I think Westerly is definitely higher than us.
They also have 3 times the people. They have 24,000 people, we have 8,000, there's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I think they meet monthly. I mean,
Like
weekly,
every other
I'm
day.
sorry. Weekly,
No,
I'm sorry.
weekly, they
I think
meet
it's-
weekly
yeah, I think it's weekly.
for 4 hours.
Anyway, but point well taken, Scott, you know, appreciate the reply again. Okay, thank you, folks. That's it for that. I think that's it for the council. General government, pages 5 and 6.
Always like looking at that section.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the meat and potatoes here.
He's right.
I wanted to know that I will fight my political death with bounties.
We like the bounty, Scott, I like the bounty.
Any questions on page 5, health? Any questions there?
That's the Cobra, that's for Cobra employees,
Yeah.
just for,
Next section is services. Any questions there on the services? Okay. Next is building.
Hold on.
Oh,
So you're saying, state aid to libraries?
Yep.
Is that a pass-through?
yes, but we keep that in there because it's,
We need to see it.
we need to see it and it's driven by the governor's budget. So I just pull it right out of it. A lot of the stuff, actually, the revenue side is all just comes from the governor's budget. Just so you know, I'll point them out.
But the thing with the libraries is there's a maintenance of effort from the town toward the libraries.
That's a different line item. That's under a different section of the budget.
And then,
This is just, this line item here is just from the state.
Okay.
wait a minute, one thing.
Well, we lose though, if we don't keep, we don't maintain the same thing,
Yeah,
funding the same.
that's on the nonprofits.
League of Cities and Towns, is that a fee?
That's a
Yeah.
membership.
Yep,
That's a
and
membership.
they brought it up the last 2 years, so we haven't, you know, received that number from them.
Lobbying body in the state. So, very helpful.
Yeah, it's going up. They decided to up it last year, and it's gonna continue to go up, I think, 5% through 2022.
Okay.
I hope they do more lobbying for the schools.
Building and operations, any questions there, folks?
Yes,
Yes.
on the street lighting?
Yep.
I just thought if Brian could explain that.
Why are there, I think I'm saying, why such swings?
Because we just purchased our streetlights. It was a huge project that we went through with the council, and they voted on, and we purchased the town's streetlights. So it previously cost us $72,000 a year. I mean, it was a whole, year of meetings and discussion about it. We had all sorts of lighting experts coming in and giving us demos, and the council decided to purchase them and go with LED lights. So we paid to switch them over. We took out a loan to do it. So there's a small loan in debt services that we took out in order to do that. We got 2 good-sized grants for doing it that offset the cost slightly. but.
You saved 30,000, I think.
Yeah, the bottom line is that it wasn't quite what they guaranteed, or not guaranteed, it wasn't quite what they told us it was gonna be, but it was still very
Good savings.
profitable. Yeah, it was a good savings. So you can see it went down from 72,000
To 32,
to 32.
that's 40K difference.
Yeah, and then but we did, now we have to have them, the maintenance, because now that we own them, National Grid doesn't do the maintenance, so we have to hire a company.
Through Prism.
Prism maintains them, and our fee is like $9,400 roughly a year. And then, on the same note, you know, if we keep going down,
Yep.
the next line, property and casualty,
Yeah.
we actually, in order to purchase the streetlights, we had to up our liability policy to $5 million. So that was 10,000 right there. So,
So how much have we really saved?
like
Don't ask.
30,000,
Net 30.
30,000 a year,
Okay.
yeah. And then once they're paid off in another, you know, probably 8 years now, then we'll be making even more.
Exactly, because then we pay a lot of money.
So a quick question on the maintenance of the streetlights, the 9397. You mentioned, you referred to it as a fee.
Where's that?
Oh,
Maintenance.
that's line item,
53.
Streetlight maintenance, Brian, 9397?
Yep,
you referred to it as a fee.
well, I
So
would-
are we giving them a flat amount?
It is.
If a
It
hurricane
is.
came through and knocked down every one, are they gonna
it's a
fix it?
flat amount, I'd have to go back and look at the contract and how it works. We do get a monthly charge, so it's like a set amount. But I remember there was some caveat there that they had some money they were putting aside for, like a contingency fund. When we negotiated the contract, they were allowed to do that. They were allowed to take X amount for some sort of catastrophic event like that. So I don't remember the details, it's been a couple years now, but I do recall something. It's a set fee to answer your question.
So I wonder about the amount, since everything is brand new, and then they're gonna get almost $10,000
Right,
to maintain them when they're all brand new?
right.
So that, maybe that's stupid, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
we
just
don't
wanna
have to-
I don't know if we
know,
have
in
a
15
choice.
years
You
or
know, I don't
10
think we
years.
really have a choice. We
No.
can't really rely on DPW to do
Yeah,
it.
they can't, they're not.
No, I'm not saying that, but I would like you to dig around in it a little bit, nose around, get the contract, look at it.
It
And
is
see
a
what you think.
contract. so
But
I
I do
think-
wonder, are they just gonna be able to just, in 5 years, decide that it's twice that, because now they're starting to have maintenance? I just wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe
I
they're
think
not
I'll
the
get you
only
a copy of
company
the
out there.
contract.
Maybe they're not the only company out there, or maybe
If it's all tied
eventually,
together though,
maybe
the contract
eventually-
that we signed.
yeah, maybe eventually there'll be another firm doing it someday.
Yeah, I
I
can
think
get
it's
you.
part of an exclusive contract,
Yeah,
it's like a subset.
For
of the
now.
contract.
yeah, yeah.
But I would agree with Sylvia, if you could take a look for the future, because my concern with the company is that they had no electricians. They had no staff, no.
If they hire.
Hiring a high-power electrician, a high-voltage electrician is extraordinarily expensive. So I'm concerned that they didn't have anyone. They still don't have anyone. And we may indeed, after the contract, once it runs its course, be able to go somewhere else and, find a better deal on that. Because right now, we really shouldn't have any problem. These are supposed to last, 20 years. So you basically have the first 10 years or 5 years with literally no problems, and you're paying $10K a year. So
Again,
I
it's
think she's
part
got a
of the
good point.
contract. Anyway, how long is the contract? At least 3 years anyway, right? With Prism, do you guys remember?
Yeah.
It's gotta be, that's fine, it's gotta be.
It's 10 years
Right.
contract.
We just executed it last year, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we still have to pay off the lights in the first place. I mean, it will make sense at the end, but I'm not sure Prism is the only company that we could look at that has people, staff, humans, tools.
All right. All right. Building and operations, anything else there, folks? What about legal? Any questions there?
So, just, I would add something on legal, just to throw it out there, that we are, I did some analysis on what we're spending, and the way we negotiated with our solicitor
Yeah.
is that if his hours go over, we pay more. If they go under, we pay less. And historically, you know, this year, he's gone over in most months, and we've been using him a lot, I believe, probably for the solar projects.
Yeah.
So, the current projections,
Wait a
like,
minute,
That's.
we pay him a stipend.
but it was the contract was, it was negotiated with him that if he went, his stipend
Oh.
covers, I think, I wanna say,
X amount of hours.
X amount of hours.
It's like $200 an hour.
And he gives us an invoice monthly, and if he goes over the hours, we pay him an additional amount. If he goes under, we don't pay him, we decrease his stipend for the month. So that number there is actually low compared to what we're paying him this year. So hopefully, when the solar projects slow down, we won't be paying as much, he won't be putting as many hours in, but just so you know, that 175 is actually low compared, because he was at projected, based on this year and his average, he's at 150, he would be at 150, plus 30 for Cosolino, and another 12 for Veronica. So that gets us at like 192. So I went to 175 with the hopes that we won't spend as much next year.
I wanted to know if you could, the transfer to restricted fund, we could 5,500. We have 80,000.
Are you seeing that, Barbara?
The very bottom.
That's not there?
What are you talking about?
This one, the 5,500. Bottom one.
It doesn't have it on
No,
here.
I understand that. This is restricted because last year we put in more money for the restricted fund for legal fees for litigation collective bargaining. Is this, do we still have this 80,000? Or the 40,000?
No,
Where does the?
yeah, it's in a restricted account, there's 73,000 in it right now. And we're definitely going to use it.
Right.
We have a lot of things on the plate right now without going into too much detail that are gonna
Right.
require legal services.
Services?
No, the restricted account is at 73.
73,000.
73 is the balance. So we didn't allocate anything in addition, but that restricted account will be drawn on for a couple of different matters that were.
And we have some other, and the other line item, 5226, the litigation collective bargaining, is the 60,000 adequate?
I decreased it based on what we have in the restricted account, but I certainly think we'll exceed that for sure. I was planning on transferring some funds over so that we would, get that down to what we budgeted. So, for example, if we have budgeted 60, if we spend 80, I was gonna use 20 out of the restricted account. That was my goal, so that we get some relief this year. So instead of, last year we were able to put some money into it, and this year I think it's gonna go the other way. We're probably gonna put it back in.
And we can look at it again in 3 or 4, in the fourth meeting or something if necessary.
Yeah, it's tough to say because all these things take forever,
Right.
when you start getting into like
I was
grievances.
thinking more along the lines of health or pension go up or down. If we have extra money, we could find
Yeah.
something in that. That's always considered, later on. Okay.
Okay. Page 6? Revenue. Any questions on that section, folks?
Yeah, I do. On 3510, interest on investments, we had 9,000 last year. Do you think you'll get 9,000? I mean, the stock market's,
It's not tied to the stock.
bear zone.
It's not tied to the stock market though.
Oh, it isn't?
It's just all fixed interest, and short-term rates have been going up, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay, so you think that.
The other big factor in that is that land trust, $1 million.
Yeah.
So when we let the land trust borrow that $1 million, that's $1 million less that we're gaining interest on.
Right. Well, we're not now.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Right, but we'll get it back next year.
Yeah, I think in July, it sounds like we're gonna go to bond.
Good, good. And then we'll get our money back.
Yeah, yep.
Now Rita isn't here, to talk to us about our delinquent taxes, right at the top, 3109, that revenue item. So she isn't here. She always liked us, she never wanted to go above 550, I know that.
Yeah,
I know.
that's a high number, because we've been,
You're
every
pretty
year,
good.
that delinquent number goes down and down, what's able to be collected. And on top of that, when you look at the year-to-date actuals, a lot of people pay at the beginning of the year. They pay annual. We have a lot of like big taxpayers that pay,
In the beginning.
yeah, a lot of banks will pay upfront. So that's not a good, you can't, we always talk about this, you can't just look at 6 months and double it. It's just,
Are you going to be doing the 2 tax sales this year, like we've been doing in the past? 2? Thank you, that's great. You really did help correct that whole account.
Any other questions on revenue, folks, page 6?
Yes,
Okay.
the line 3315, rent their house, who rents it?
Post office.
post office.
That's pure profit now.
And tower rent, what is that?
That's another
Rented.
pure rent. The tower is rented out now.
Behind DPW?
Yeah.
We rented to,
Because
what
we
was
had a
it,
nice
cell
big
phone
tower.
companies?
Yeah, there's like 4. It's
4
Sprint,
companies.
AT&T, American Tower, and I think like Metro. I forget the 4, but actually,
You should put a bunch of
I
these.
definitely have it if you really want to know. I
Yeah,
could tell you how much they pay each, but
You know, I wonder.
just trust me that it
if-
equals 55,
Yeah.
109.
Well, we've done this for back to the 90s, so I just wonder where we are as far as increases and is the contract a 3-year?
I've started looking into that. Actually, Bill and I talked about it too, because it's been one of those things that's kind of hasn't been looked at in a while, because these contracts are so long. So I'm gonna try to look, I don't think there's much we can do with them, but I'll definitely take a look just to get a little more educated on them, because they were all done when I was in high school probably, so I don't remember what was
I
going
was on the
on.
council then.
Yeah, I'm not all that knowledgeable about them, but I do review them just enough to know this is what we're getting a year in this current year.
So, yeah, all right. Anything else, folks, on page 6? Okay, we're good there. General good ones down, now the CIP, capital improvement.
So,
Brian,
Shannon,
you want to?
when we do the CIP,
Oh, that's
I
right.
put it on
Department heads.
every workshop, but we
Yeah.
usually like to go over when the department head in charge of that is here.
Yep.
So tonight, building and zoning, planning, we went over the land trust one, but there was nothing for building and zoning, nothing for planning,
Yep.
nothing for town clerk, nothing for general government. We didn't do anything for the town hall consolidation this year, so there's nothing with the departments we discussed tonight on the CIP.
What about the 1904 building renovation? Because that's not really under anybody's department.
So that is actually a good call, that's general government. We have 135,000 in there for the 1904 renovation.
Right. And we're going to use.
That's the
Is
biggest
is that the asbestos, for the cost of asbestos?
No.
for raising.
The whole thing down.
Pardon me?
Raising.
Demo, it's a demo
Yeah,
cost?
Yep.
Maybe you should call it that. It's not a
Yeah.
renovation, it's a demo,
You're right.
so we could know for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
it sounded so harsh.
I know, but it is part of it, that's what it is.
A demolition and salvage,
Okay. That sounds nicer.
That
Yeah,
sounds
I just
nicer.
wondered if this might be an item that we put out to warrant. It kicks it off the budget, but it allows the townspeople to vote on it. So.
I would support that.
I don't know what you mean by put it out to.
Oh,
warrant.
warrant means that sometimes we ask questions, do you agree, or do you, well, whatever the word.
Shall the
verbiage
town
might
of Hopkinton
There you go.
set aside
be. Excellent.
$135,000 for the demolition
We
and salvage?
we
Why
told
would
these
you
folks,
why
we
would
had
you
to,
ask that?
Yeah.
but they want it down, the police wants it down, I don't think,
Okay, all right.
if you send it out there, you're gonna get
You might get
100
a no.
different, yeah, you might get a no, then what happens then?
Yeah.
Then the teacher's gonna storm the building and start,
Yeah. Oh,
we
yeah.
told you we want it down,
Okay.
I wouldn't be, believe me, I met with them, they're like, ooh.
And so we're.
I don't like spending the money either, but-
That's okay, but transfer, well, didn't have to be. Transfer plan 122,335.
Right.
Okay.
That's what's in the CIP. So total CIP for this budget is 258,645. Can't get
Talk
into,
about the others.
yeah, we'll talk about the others when we
Sure.
have IT, police, DPW.
Okay, what's next?
That's,
Yeah, I have a
it's
question.
Yes.
Come back there, let's go back there. On the town hall consolidation.
Yes. So we normally, we have the money, we put 250 aside to.
Right, but not this
We
time.
can't, yeah, so we're already in the hole.
Yes,
So we didn't put, Bill and Brian didn't put it
did
in.
not put it in.
That would have added to our demise
Yes.
But
by
I guess I thought,
So,
so close.
no, if we did 250, we would have to, we'd be up 500,000 for our plan transfer, which means our budget would go up another $258,000. So we can't, we don't have it. Well, sometimes we put it in, sometimes we don't.
We're about two
Generally-
budget cycles away from finishing the
I
project.
know,
Generally,
but not this one.
Nope.
the school enrollment
If the
usually
school wasn't so high,
kind
we'd
of
have the money.
dictates whether we can do it.
Yes.
We've gone through, we have the money.
How is our
Just-
growth this year?
used to it.
Just comment.
Did you have a number that you plugged in for growth? Do you know what?
No, we're still just going based
What
on,
was it last year, around 4%? I mean, with our current, wasn't it 4%?
from the quote that we got, the
Yeah.
estimate, we're just going with the last quote that we got. But we all know that it's escalating, the longer we put it out.
So what was your quote?
It's right there, it's the 1.9, 1,972,073.
It's right there on the first column.
So that's an old number, to answer your question, though.
Yeah.
At the
That's
same
not.
time, at the
Well,
same
wait a
time, we put in things. We put in gas, we put in lines, we put in some landscaping, we put in massive equipment over there. So that's got to come off the 1972 because it was specifically for the new building. So that 1972, we've spent some of that.
No,
That was all grant money.
that was all done with CDBG funds.
Right, but I mean, that was money that we had anticipated would be part of the town hall consolidation. So I'm glad it's grant, but it means that we've spent money for the town hall consolidation.
None of that $2 million money was budgeted for those items. We got those through the CDBG grant.
Exactly, but if we didn't get
But
some
this
money,
budget
we
here-
still have to spend it for the town hall.
Oh.
I mean, overall, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Overall, we are beginning, we're just not there.
So my question, I wasn't talking about the 1972. Our growth of the town as a whole, our growth that the tax assessor deals with, every year we have growth, we were negative.
You mean the assessable base?
Yeah, yeah,
The
that
tax
growth,
base
the tax base
growth, the
growth.
growth in net assessed value?
Yeah, yeah.
What about it?
Well, that, for a while, we actually had a decrease in our value, a few years back, and the tax rate, I mean, it had never happened before, but it was the housing crisis so the overall worth shrunk, okay,
Right.
we had to deal with that. What I'm asking now is, last year, we had growth, we had new buildings, we have new houses, so there's growth in the town.
It's all baked into our revenue.
But what was the number?
I know.
What number are you working with? Is
Yeah,
it
it's on page,
4%?
it's on page 3.
It's on page 3.
So page 3 will show you the difference between last year's tax
Page
roll.
3, and not to see it.
And no, in operating.
Oh,
The
okay.
tax levy page, so you can look at FY19's tax levy versus,
But I didn't know if you put anything in here.
yeah,
Oh, you did?
we got the latest, we always get the latest numbers from, but that will continue to change throughout the budget process, because Liz, the tax assessor, is continually getting data, like she's just got her motor vehicle data, so she's constantly working to update that as we're putting the
It's
budget.
page 4, right?
Or, sorry, yeah, page,
Are you sure what page?
Page four.
yeah,
Page 4.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, page 4. Okay, I see.
sorry, I'm looking at it.
Okay. I didn't even look at that. I didn't know if you had the number.
So we did see an increase for sure.
Net assessed value.
You can see the net assessed value,
She's just saying this is-
it's actually pretty much level from last year. Because of the motor vehicle, so if you look at the real property, we see the increase.
7 million?
No, if you look at so if you go to the net assessed line, column,
But on real estate, aren't you talking about the difference between 832 million versus 839? Is that what you're saying?
I'm looking at the net assessed column, so I would look at the,
856?
yep, so it will, or
Oh,
eight,
including tangibles.
correct, yep.
So it's from 856 to
Hold on one
875.
second.
What page is that on?
Page
Four.
4.
And motor vehicles going away.
Motor vehicles, it's a net impact, but it is going away, it's a phase out, but the state is giving us, they basically reimburse us for it for now. So we'll see our tax roll go down in motor vehicles every year, but if you look on the general government column, tab, on the general government, that revenue comes in under general government. So we're getting reimbursed by the state for the decrease in revenue for motor vehicle, but we don't know how long that'll last. It's supposed to be phased out.
But the tax levy is just on the tangibles and real estate.
Correct.
Say that again.
The tax levy is just based on the real estate and the tangibles, not on the motor vehicle.
Correct.
Correct, that's what we were talking
Did go up, at least it went up, that helped.
All right, I think that's it on the, any other questions, folks? That ends it for the agenda items, I guess.
The next date is the 25th, I believe.
25th?
And so, so at this point, did we say 850 or do you have more?
No, there was a little more. I usually give a summary the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, yeah,
And, okay.
what's, I got,
So far from what I'm thinking. I wanted to put more money in the tree cutting because I know that it's gonna cost, how much on the tree cutting?
Oh, that,
We're not there yet.
definitely, that's a warrant item.
That's a warrant item.
Good grief, I mean, yeah, you might need $500,000, that's gotta be borrowing. There's no
Well, we
way.
do have to talk about it, but I don't
Right.
think it's on
Yeah,
this
we didn't,
budget.
not
We're just
tonight,
there.
but yeah, so
That's what I was trying to save money,
Right.
was to put,
borrowing,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
gonna have to spread it out.
I would
We
think
can't come up with
maybe
$500,000.
Can't do it.
we put that on the,
Oh, there was 1,000 trees.
Maybe
You had one tree down in your
I would
place.
think we should,
that
that's
cost
probably a good
15,000.
idea, because they could speak to
Well, we
it
just
better
did that.
than
Some of them
anyone
are
else.
small, some of them are big.
But I was
But it's
thinking,
basically 1,000 trees. You have-
You whole
Think
thing.
think it's 1,000 a tree, then it's 100,000.
That's a million, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Motion to adjourn,
You
folks?
got it.
Also moved.
All those in favor? Aye.